Hey up YouTube, Russ here. I'm going to do part 2 of the Birds and the Bees series. Reason being is I have a ongoing back issue, and at the moment it's really bad. I'm not really able to get on the allotment. I actually injured myself on bonfire night. So I decided it was supposed to be sort of renewing the solar panel. I was supposed to follow up from the shed being built, but unfortunately I just can't do the up and down and the around. So anyway, enough of my problems. Let's get on to perhaps solving some of yours. But yes, there are 3 main forms or 3 popular forms. Let's go with popular of preparing your soil for the coming season. I'm going to link to some other people's YouTube up here. Now, if these links disappear, it could be that they don't like me linking to them. I'm new to the community. They don't know me. They may not like it. But I think the first one I'm going to talk about is double digging. That is the proper, as far as I'm aware, one of the oldest methods of preparing a home garden for growing, or an allotment garden or a kitchen garden. And that is the practice of, and I'll try and do some sort of diagram, but I'm not going to talk about it too much because I'm going to actually put a link somewhere up here and down in the description to Castle Hill Garden. He double digs every year, and I believe his explanation of why he does it and how he does it is phenomenal. So I'm not going to go over it. In fact, that's going to be the theme for most of these methods. It's been talked about so many times in other places, but I'm trying to sort of put it together, trying to sort of show some of my community, because I know we've got a lot of new growers. Show them the other providers out there as well. I'm not all about keeping everybody to myself. I'm not. It's not about that for me. It's about sharing the best source of information for you guys. That's why I did the book review. Anyway, and in the video from Castle Hill Garden, he talks about why and how it's done. But the premise and the basics of it is you dig a trench the length of the bed that you want to define, and you dig down, and you dig 2 full spade depths down. But what you do is your first full spade depth, you dig it in sort of 1 trench, 2 sessions. So you take your first spade depth, and you take that and you take that soil, literally take it away, so put it into a barrow or something like that, and you put it up the other end of your raised bed. You don't put it in anything, just leave it in your barrow for now. You're not going to need your barrow again. So then what you do is you then dig in. This is the second dig. Either manure, if you've timed it right, and if you're in early enough, if you've shut your garden down early enough like I did and shutting it down in September, you can put in, it doesn't have to be well rotted, that would be desirable, but it doesn't have to be well rotted. We put in manure, fertilizers, compost, organic matter that's going to compost, grass cuttings, anything. And if you followed the advice from the first video, you should know what your garden needs, whether it needs manuring, whether it just needs some nitrogen adjustment, If it's a brassica bed, whether it's worth throwing a bit of pre-planting lime in there to break down. Obviously, you throw some in with your brassica as well if you need it, but these are all things that if you've done the homework from the first video, it all follows on. So you've dug your hole, you've figured out, ahead of time what you want to line it with, and I think on Castle Hill he uses manure. If he's got some adjustments to do, we'll use blood, fish and bone, or just blood, or hoof. Is it cow hoof powder or something like that? He uses numerous things anyway. He does actually release a video every year, but I'm going to link to the one that he did in 2018 because in there he actually does some soil adjustment and talks about it a little bit. Anyway, so that's your double digging. You've put your manure in, or your fertilisers, or whatever you're going to put in, and then what you do now is weigh your next spade depth, because you're only digging one spade wide and one spade deep. So your next row of soil, as it were, you then actually just shovel that on top of the manure. So you're moving everything backwards. Now you're seeing why you need to take that barrow around to the other end of the bed. So you shovel that on top of your manure, and you rinse and repeat all the way to the last trench. Where obviously then you're going to take the dirt that you dug from your first trench, and that's going to finish your bed off. And in a nutshell, that is double digging. Some people will say that you have to go 2 spade depths down. Now, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but it does depend entirely on your soil. Me, for example, if I go much over a spade depth down, I'm actually into solid sand because my allotment is on an old riverbed. So for me, going 2 spade depths down is useless because the nutrient isn't absorbed into the sand, it's just washed away. But double digging isn't a method I use. I did use it year 1, but it was for me it was too much like hard work. It took far too long, and this was before I had the raised beds. So if you've seen my plot tours, double digging that entire plot, I think it took me 2-3 months basically doing a trench at a time. There's nothing that says you've got to do all this in one go. You can do half a bed, you can do one trench at a time. Like another YouTuber says, although he's not been producing many videos recently, but his content is brilliant, Sean James Cameron. Once again, I'll try and link to one of his videos or to his channel in a card. He says do it often. You can go at things like a bull in a china shop, and that's where a lot of allotmenters trip up. They start and they go and they spend an entire day digging, and then they look at the allotment at the end of the day and they're dead proud of themselves, as rightly they should be. It's hard work. But they'll spend the entire day digging, and then they'll look at it and go, yeah, excellent, well chuffed. Then they'll wake up the following day absolutely riddled with aches and pains, unable to do anything. So then they'll take maybe a week off. They can only come at weekends, say. And without realising it, what they've actually done is they've created, double digging. It creates a lovely grow environment. So all it takes is 3 or 4 days of good conditions, bit of sun, bit of rain, and you'd be surprised how quickly those weeds come back. And the amount of people, and I know Marcus can vouch for this, the amount of people that get so downhearted because you've put all this effort into making your plot lovely and beautiful and weeding it, and then you come back a week later and they've starting to come back again, and you just think, I've got to start again. So this sort of leads on to a bit of a controversial subject, and it's sort of relevant to all the methods, but what you do is up to you. And this is what I was saying to Marcus for a long period of time. He was going along, he was digging, he was taking out all the weeds, but he was too late in the season to grow a lot of things, especially outside. So what would happen is we were going along digging, taking all the weeds out, it'd go back the following weekend and they were all back again. Cover what you've done, cover the work that you've done. It doesn't need to be covered all winter. What I do, and still do, regardless of the method I'm using, is I will prep my soil. I will then cover it until the start of the good hard frosts. Even better if you can get down sort of the week before you know there's going to be a good hard frost. But cover it. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to cover it with. So many people are going to say, oh, don't use plastic, don't use carpet, use only cardboard, use wood chip, use... The choice is yours. They're all perfectly good options. I do agree with not using plastic if you're only going to use it once. If you buy something good or you've got something good that you can get multiple uses out of, I don't see a problem with it. That's my personal opinion. I know people are going to disagree with it. But for many, many, many years, people have used carpet to cover their plots. And this, once again, it's a highly frowned upon practice. People say, oh, you shouldn't use carpet, it leaches toxins into the soil. I'm not sure how right that is. I have looked, I've tried to find any sort of proof, any sort of studies, any sort of scientific data that suggests that this is fact. I couldn't find any. Not saying there's none out there, I'm sure people out there have seen things. But I couldn't find anything that wasn't somebody writing a column on some social media page, which for me doesn't count as scientific proof. So I'm not going to judge anybody for covering their plot however they see fit. I use plastic, as you have seen in my videos, on my large open ground space. But my raised beds, actually I use a different method. So, you know, we'll move on to that. We've pretty much covered double digging. I'll try, if YouTube lets me, and put another link to that video up here, to Castle Hill Garden up here somewhere. I'll try and do it a few times, because like I say, his video's far superior than listening to me start talking, but do stick around so that you see all your options. So, what do I do in my raised beds? Well, this year is the first year I'm trying something new, and it's the no dig method. A lot of people have said, well, why didn't you do it year one? Why didn't you? Because to set up the no dig method, sorry, say hi Sash. Set up the no dig method is expensive ish, or it can be expensive. Sash, get down, girl. No, I'm doing a video, get down. Go lay down, go have a nap. Sorry guys. Anyway, the no dig method, it can be expensive depending on how you do it. Certainly in the first year of my raised beds, I didn't have a large enough amount of compost, be it homemade compost or manure or fertiliser. And I certainly, as I said in the last video, wasn't spending hundreds of pounds on bags of shop bought compost. Which is fine if you want to do it. If you've got the money to do it and you want to do it, brilliant, have at it. This is your method. No dig, so simple, and that's the beauty of it. And it does work. And that is, so at this time of year when you dig in your open area, if you're doing that, what you do with your raised beds, I do it in my greenhouse and on my raised beds, cover them all with cardboard, as thick as you can. I would say don't go over about 2 inches thick, which is a substantial amount of cardboard. I do maybe something for comparison that we've all got knocking around. I haven't actually got anything, but I do about 2 good thick cardboard boxes, thick, you know, obviously flattened down. So it comes out, you know, the cardboard's about that thick. So I cover everything, cover all my raised bed with cardboard from top to bottom, left to right, try and leave no space. And then for me, this year, my organic matter of choice is alpaca manure. The reason being is I get that for nothing. Sorry about the noise, the dog's a bit restless. Yes, you. So, cardboard, organic matter, that wants to be an inch or two thick, minimum. In my readings, in my research, you cannot go too thick. I actually mixed the alpaca poo because it's very dense, very water retentive. I mixed it with some barley straw just to open it up a little bit. It has meant that I've still had a few weeds come through, but I think that's unavoidable to an extent. And they're only, they're so easy to pull out because they're just on the surface layer. They're not growing through from underneath. As for a reference point for no dig, I think there's only one. I think that there has to be only one, and that is Charles Dowding. He's been the pioneer of this method. It is a very old method, very, very old method. But it's one that works. I'm only sort of in year 2. I did year 1. I did it in my greenhouse. Year 2, obviously, I'm doing it year 2 and 3. So we're on 3. Right, year 3. I'm doing it on my raised beds. The idea was I was going to get down the allotment and record some clips of all this because I've kept a bed that I have to shut down. I've got the cardboard and the manure. I've got a rotavator, which is method 3, which is how I do my soil. And the idea was I was going to film things and stick them in sort of at the side of me here. That still might happen, it depends. But you'll have seen it if I've been able to get down on the plot. But yeah, Charles Dowding, no dig, links up here. I can't really link you to any one video, so I'll probably link you to his channel. Well worth sitting down and watching. But make sure you've got something to eat because you'll be there a while. He's got a lot of videos, but you'll understand when you watch them, especially his video about his composting, just how much volume of organic matter you need every year. And you don't just do it once; it's to be done. This has to be done every year. So your cardboard, your organic matter. Then next year, cardboard, organic matter. You're not digging anything out, otherwise it'd defeat the name. No dig. But if you're going to do it where you're buying compost every year, you're going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds every year. And that's not how I choose to garden. My allotment garden, my kitchen garden, is supposed to supplement my shop. This year, because of doing the methods that I do, it brought my monthly shop down by at least £100 a month through the growing season. And because I beg and borrow, it costs me next to nothing. All the manure I get for nothing. I have to go and collect it, but all the manure I get for nothing. The cardboard is all stuff from friends, neighbours, relatives, Amazon purchases. I mean, God's sake, you order a thimble from Amazon, it comes in a box, in a box, in a box, in a box. Keep all that cardboard, and especially the Amazon stuff. The tape is fully biodegradable. You don't have to prat about with it. As long as it's that paper tape, it's fully biodegradable. So you can just literally just open the box up, job done. If you're using normal cardboard boxes, do take all the remnants of plastic off that you can. Because it won't break down, and you'll only kick yourself later because you're going to have to then dig it out because it'll be in your way. So yeah, no dig, Charles Dowding, go check it out. It's an excellent method, but in my opinion, for a lot of new allotment starters, it might be too expensive. You might not have the contacts that you need to be able to do it, but have it in mind. If it's something you want to do, start your legwork now. Start finding out where you can get stuff from, things like that. no dig, as his channel will tell you, it doesn't have to be in beds, it can be on the ground, so it's an option to everybody. Hi guys, Russ from the future. Just editing today's video, and I've decided I'm going to break it into 2 chunks because it was getting 50 minutes long and there wasn't as much I could cut out as I thought there was. So I'm going to split it into 2 chunks. I don't know whether they're going to be released on the same day or as 2 videos, 2 episodes. So I'm going to break it here. So you've got part 3 and some other bits at the end to come after this. I am going to release them both on the same day, but I'm going to break it into 2 videos, make it a bit easier on you guys out there in YouTube land, so you're not sat looking at my ugly mush for too long. So until next time, I'll see you later.